with Dr. Ninja Turtle. Guess who restarted their laptop 4 minutes ago because my mouse was not working right. And so I barely got everything back up and situated in 4 minutes. So there we go. So let's get started. I am looking at my, uh, there you go. So I again have my setup so that I'm looking to the left, which may look to the right to you, I don't know, but I'm looking to the left for my YouTube studio so I can read comments. They're also coming up on my screen. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Lisa J. And Julie. Hi, Julie. Thank you all for being here. I can see you on the bottom of my cell phone screen. And so I really want to get right into this because, and I'm sorry, my collar is never right on this shirt. I just need to say that. I always see it after that my collar is not right on this shirt. I'm so embarrassed by that. But anyway, we are going to get right into this. And if anyone saw the post that I put up just a little while ago, it was a Ray Charles song from 1963. And I just happened to hear it, on the XM channel that I was listening to this morning. And so I went and found this Ray Charles song on, oh, thank you, CL. Yeah, this is one of my favorite shirts. It's just that my collar is always messed up and I don't see it until I'm looking at it later that my collar was messed up. And I wish that it was always right. And Christiana, thank you for being here. This is a week one of the Fire Academy, and I got this idea from Christiana, and she's here today. So a lot of the ideas that I get are from other YouTube creators, and after this month, after I get through this Fire Academy, I'm going to do another YouTube video based on another YouTube creator. So that's what I'm doing. And so that's how I get some of my ideas. Other things that I get, they just hit me. They just hit me. And so guess who has not turned on their ring light? There you go. So I'm having that kind of a morning. There we go. All right. I was wondering, why is it so dim in the phone? Well, the ring light. So let's get into it. So like I mentioned, I posted this song by Ray Charles, right? Called Busted, right? And that's how I felt before I got on my money journey. And this was many years ago. So what we're talking about today is how do you start when you're broke, when you're busted, right? That's the beginning. And I'm going to say that today. It doesn't end. You can start from wherever you are. That's my point. I looked at my amount of money, amount of income that I've had for the first 6 months, because as you know, at the end of every month, I do my net worth statement. Well, I was looking at my total income for the first 6 months of 2026, and I said to myself, I make too much money to be this broke. Okay? That's just the reality of it. So that motivates me to start this journey just like everybody else. Whether you have money or don't have money, we can all improve our finances from today forward. And so that's what this is about. So it's not that you have to be broken, busted like I was many, many years ago, right? You can start from where you are today and do your money better. So I am doing money better in July than I did in June already. And I know by December, my life will be better because of these last 6 months of 2026. So have you ever wondered, where did my money go? I know I did, because all I was trying to do in the beginning, right? And my money had no purpose. It had no direction. I was not thinking about investing in the beginning. And when I say investing, let me do this caveat for Lisa J Stocks. This is not about investing for your children. That's after you get yourself situated. When I was beginning, I didn't have investments for myself. And so, mostly what I'm talking about in these 4 weeks are investing for yourself as an adult and getting yourself straight so that you can do what Lisa J. Stocks does, which is invest for her children, and teach them how to invest. I didn't know how to invest. There was no way I could have done it for my son who was 7 and another son who was 5 at the time. And my financial goals in the beginning, and some people may resonate with this if you're just beginning your journey, because this is not about everybody does life perfectly. I have not done life perfectly. And as Lisa says, as you know better, you do better. And so that's what I do. I tend to copy people. You know, we'll talk about Julie on Monday, Happy on Monday, her channel, for a second. I am becoming more conservative in my retirement as time goes on. She is becoming a little less conservative in her retirement as time goes on. So everyone is changing a little bit as life happens. So I am not in the same position today as I was, we'll say, 39 years ago. Okay, I'm not in that same position, thank goodness. Okay, because when I started, and that's what this first week is really about, is just starting from wherever you are. I had to start with, I don't even have $5 to save. I don't even have 10 cents to save. And so when you start talking about, let's get the beginning, that's what week one is about. No matter whether you have $5 to save, $0 to save, or $5,000 to save, we all start from where we are. So this is a no judgment channel, right? And so if you want to judge me, when I started 39 years ago, which is not the position I'm in today, I am in a very blessed position today. But when I started, my only financial goal, I had two. I had two financial goals. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later today, is you have to set goals for a little bit of progress. Not, oh, I want $5 million or I want this or I want that. No, start where you are and say, I just want to be a little bit better. So my two financial goals when I started, when I came out of the homeless shelter, was one, do not become homeless again. Okay? Because I was 3 months behind in my rent and had a 3-day eviction notice on my door. That's when it clicked. And I said, wait a minute, whoa, we're about to become homeless again. And so I had to start turning my life around immediately. There was no, oh, well, I'll just take my time and just do this whenever, it's convenient for me. No, I had to turn my life around immediately. And so that's what this is about. That's what this 4 weeks is about. I've talked on my channel a lot about getting started and starting from zero. Well, that's where I was. Now, the other goal that I had, so I had competing priorities here, right? I had not paid child support. I used to pay child support. Don't judge me on this. But I used to pay child support every other month. For whatever reason, that was just my pattern. And so I got behind in child support payments. And so I ended up in child support court right after the 3-day eviction notice. And the judge said, if you don't make a payment out of your next paycheck, you're going to jail. And so, consequently, I've never been in jail. But my point is that I had to make immediate financial decisions. I did not have the opportunity for somebody to say, well, Daryl, just take your time and just do it, when you feel like it. No. So if your back is against the wall, like my back was against the wall, you have to come out fighting. And that's what week one is about. So I'm trying to look at the chat, but I'm also trying to look at the phone. Catherine, thank you for being here. And Rhonda, thank you for being here. I was just in Rhonda's live while I was in a meeting that I go to before my lives every Friday. And so, thank you for coming. Oh, Mrs. G is here. Boy, thank you all for coming because what we're talking about today is week one of the Fire Academy, which is just getting started. Now, everybody's back may not be against the wall like mine was. See, I had no choice but to turn my finances around. Some people, they have other people that can help them financially, and so therefore they're like, well, I'll turn my financial life around, little by slow or when I get around to it, right? But this is about not only starting today and changing your financial life, but designing the life that you want to live in the future. When I started, I had no idea of my future and what my future life was going to be, right? Um, you know, when all this was happening, I did not know that 5 years later, I would be living overseas, working as a government contractor, and buy myself a Mr. T starter kit. I mean, I got all this gold jewelry and diamond rings and all this. I didn't know. And none of that was managing money. Okay? It was me trying to compensate for coming from being broke. So that's my point is I have no idea what my future is going to be or what your future is going to be, but I do know that if you start managing your money today better than you were managing your money last month and last year, your life will get better. I see that on YouTube all the time. And excuse me, I have for some reason tears in my eyes because when I think about my past, it's embarrassing. So, anyway, we all start from where we are. I've learned that from watching Christiana for I don't know how many years now. You know, um, and yeah, a lot of my channel comes from other creators that I watch, which is this is a no judgment zone. I saw another creator, it was probably Christiana, that said that. And so, of course, what I do is I copy people I admire. That's what I do. And so, and my life gets better. That's all I can tell you. I copy people and my life gets better. So, um, let's talk about tracking your money, right? You might say, well, I make enough money that I don't really have to track my money. I pay all my bills, right? I have, a half a million in my retirement accounts. You still have to track your money. And I had to track my little bit of money because I was working two jobs 7 days a week, giving all my money to my landlord and the child support court. Okay? So I had to manage and track my money back then. I have a much more sophisticated way of tracking my money today. But if you're beginning, I want to tell you that, and I believe in free. Okay, I don't care how much money I have, I don't care how much money I make every year, I believe in free. So I'm never going to recommend that you go out and spend money. Now, if you choose to spend money, that's fine. Because there are money tracking apps out there where you can give it subscription, you can spend money. That's not me. I didn't have any money to spend. We didn't even have the internet way back when. But I didn't have money to spend on an app when all my money was going to my landlord and all my money was going to the child support court. Okay, there was no. So if you're low income or if you don't have a lot of spare money, I've been there. Thank God I'm not there today. Okay, I'll admit that. But I have been there. And I never want to forget where I came from. So my point is that there is, and this is what I recommend. I do a workshop at my local library once a month in my town on financial literacy because there are people in my town that don't have a lot of money. There are many people, there's a good percentage of my town that don't have a lot of money. And sometimes I get 2 people, sometimes I get 6 people, sometimes I get 0 people. But I have kept showing up for over a year now. And I can't believe that a year went by. But I've been doing this for over a year. And I have helped at least one person. And that's all I'm trying to do. And so some of you have heard that I also go into my local jails to see the people there. Well, I'm also trying to start financial literacy courses in my local jails for people that are about to get out. That's my new thing. It popped into my head a month ago, and I started contacting people, and it's in the works. And we'll see how that goes. But here's my point. When I'm at the local library, I don't ask these people who have low income to go out and spend money on apps. I don't do that. There is a free Google Sheet that you can get. And I have the steps in here somewhere, so hopefully I get to that before my hour is up. I have the exact steps, I put it in my notes here, on how to get to this free Google Sheet. So if you have a Gmail account, which most people do, but not everybody, if you have a free Gmail account, you can get a free money tracking spreadsheet. And there's one that's called monthly, which I don't recommend because you have to do a new spreadsheet each month. I recommend the annual one because all the months are already there and it keeps track of what you have coming in and what you have going out. So all you have to do is put your categories of what you're spending. And then on another sheet, it says, what's your income? And then on a third sheet, that's all it has is 3 sheets, income, expenses, and it has a graph on the third sheet. If it's green, then your income is higher than your expenses. If it's red, you're spending more than what you bring in. And so the goal is to live on less than what you make, whatever that looks like. And see, that makes it accessible to everyone. No matter who you are, no matter how much money you make, the goal is live on less than what you make. And so Catherine is listening and about to drive down the road. Right, and so I will. Roger, who is Catherine's husband, sometimes he texts for her, unless she's like at a stoplight or something. So that could be Roger, could be Catherine. But Roger did text me, I think yesterday. So we will be in touch. Hopefully this weekend. But this is what I'm saying is my content is not for the ultra wealthy. We'll get to that maybe in week 4 or 5. We'll get to some tactics if you already have money. But week 1 is how do we start? We start by living on less than what we make. That's not where I started. Where I started was all my money had to go out. I mean, every penny had to go out. It wasn't for a long time that I was able to live on less than what I made. I mean, a long time. We're talking, I didn't have a bank account, so I had to mail money orders to the child support court. I didn't even know how you buy a money order. I think it's 7-Eleven or something. I'm from California. So I think at the local convenience store, I had to go in and buy a money order and then envelope stamp, mail it to the child support court. And so, at 5 years after I started doing this, I had paid back when I was buying this Mr. T starter kit thing that hopefully I'll show you all later this month. I paid back all that back child support. I owed the IRS back taxes. I had paid all that back. And I got a letter from the child support court saying thank you for becoming current with your child support. And then, here's a funny story. Then they sent me another letter that said California had changed the laws and that they could go back and recalculate money I owed them. This is after I had paid them all back, right? So I get this letter saying, we have just created some new law in California that says we can go back and recalculate what you owe us, and you owe us another $1,500. I was like, huh. So I wrote him a check, $1,500, and said, cool, and never was late on a child support payment. After that beginning, when they said you're going to go to jail, not only did I pay child support on time for the rest of my time, but I also paid all that back child support back. See, and paying bills on time is another part to all of this. Not only do you have to get current on your past due bills, but you also have to start paying on time. And so I don't give financial advice. However, I'm going to say this. I would never, and I'm talking about me, I would never do this Afterpay, Klarna, all these different things. So I hope that keeps me out of court because I would never do it. So my point is, pay your bills on time. I pride myself on paying my bills on time. You know, I get very upset if I pay something late. You know, I think just recently I had set up auto pay with the sanitation, my county sanitation company, but there was some button in the website that I didn't click, right? So I had set it up, but I didn't set it up to actually work. So I'm getting these notices in the mail saying, hey, please pay up, you know, we're picking up your trash, please pay up. And I kept going to their office and calling them, going, what is going on? And as it turned out, I was 4 months behind. Because they explained to me, oh, most people forget to click this one thing in the box on the website. And so we got it all fixed. But here's my point. That's a rare thing, you know, where I'm missing payments or behind in payments. At this point, I'm going to make another admission because on this channel, you guys are going to see me be vulnerable. You're going to see me admit to my faults and to my mistakes because I am not a person that does life perfectly at all. So I am a person who can't write a check. Okay? That's just who I am. One, a couple of different things. This has nothing to do with me not being able to write a check, but I was never taught to balance a checkbook. I was never able to balance a checkbook. I tried, but me and my checkbook balancing never worked. So I use spreadsheets. And so, excuse me, I have sniffles here. I don't know why my allergies, well, my allergies have been bad all week. But excuse me for 2 seconds while I go and blow my nose right quick. And there we go. And we're back. So back to me not being able to write a check. I used to bounce checks, which is one reason that I did money orders, okay? The other reason is I didn't have a checking account for the first 2 years. The banks wanted $50 way back when. They wanted you to leave $50 in an account to have a checking account. I did not have a spare $50 for 2 years. I did not have a spare $50 to leave in the bank to open a checking account. So anyway, when I did get a checking account, I'd write a check and I would forget that I had written the check. And my bank account would say that I had $50 or $80 or whatever it was, not a lot of money back then. And, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I could pay for this or pay for that, you know, got to put gas in the car. And the next thing I know, some check for $10 that I wrote bounced. And guess who gets charged a fee that's more than $10 for the $10 bounce check. And so one of the things I learned was that when I set everything on automatic payments, right, I make sure the money is in the account. And I have a specialized account specifically for paying bills. Okay, it's separate from any other account I use. I make sure the money is in that account. When they come to get their money, the money's there. So I'm not worried about the money not being there or writing them a check. I tried writing a check because I learned this, right? I learned don't write checks because I'm not really good at keeping track of what's in my account. Now I have, many years later, now I have multiple different checking accounts. I got too many. I got way too many accounts. You know, I've got accounts for my rental properties. I've got accounts for bills. I've got accounts for um, putting money into my emergency fund, but it's also the same account that I use to send money to pay back the IRS. So it's a special account just for that. And I don't use it for anything else. Later on, you can have these multiple accounts, or there are certain high yield savings accounts that lets you separate your money into different buckets. So there are all kinds of ways to track your money. So many years later, I decided I'm going to write a check, right? Knowing that I'm not good at this. And sure enough, the check bounced. That was proof to me that many years later, I'm still not good at writing checks. So I write a check basically about once a year. However, I make sure that the money is in the account when I write that check, and I don't touch that account. See, so it's a separate account that nothing else comes out of. So I know when I write the check, there's money in that account and the money's staying there. It's not going for gas, it's not going for anything. But once a year is about the amount that I write the check. So some of us are not good check writers. I don't know who's out there who is not a good check writer. Raise your hand if you're not a good check writer. So I know that I'm not alone. Okay. And I know other people are just going, well, you should just do this, and I just do that, and I do perfectly with my checks. Well, some of us are just not perfect with money. And I have learned how to compensate for my financial shortcomings. In that, one thing I do is I overestimate how much money I'm going to need so that there's always extra money there. So let's say for my rental properties and my rental mortgages, I always round that number up to a higher number so that when that money is in the account and I know that the mortgage payments are coming out, there's always extra money there. And nowadays I may put, like, let's say an extra $100 a month in that account so that that account is building by $100 each month. So somehow learn to compensate for whatever your financial shortcomings are, right? None of this is in my notes. This is all stuff that keeps popping into the head here. So let's keep going because I should have been reading the chat. Oh, yeah, Nightbot always says type fire so that your channel gets put out there because I want everyone's channel to grow. Having a side hustle is part of week one. And YouTube is the side hustle that many people have today. DoorDash is the side hustle that many people have today. Stack those side hustles. My side hustle before the internet, way back when, was being a security guard on the graveyard shift because working third shift paid the highest differential. So I could be a security guard around one of these Silicon Valley big factory plant things where they were making chips. And I could walk around there and then, type the clock or click on the clock, turn the key thing, so that they would see that I was making the rounds, but it paid the highest differential. So I'm working 2 jobs, 7 days a week was the best I could do. Nowadays, we have other options. You do not have to work as hard as I did and just trade dollars for money. You can create ebooks. You can create your own spreadsheets. You can create a lot of items that generate income without you having to repeat that work for those hours. And so please do that. If you are one trying to get out of debt or you're trying to invest more, do what you can to make sure that you're living below your means right now. That's your fastest way. And having a side hustle always helps. If you can live on your main income, your 9 to 5, whatever that is, or your fixed income. Some of my family members are on a fixed income. If you are on a fixed income, get yourself a little side hustle. My brother has a carpet cleaning business. That's his hustle. That's what he does. So get yourself something that you can do. For many of us, we're trying to grow our YouTube channels. And so Tiff's take, her whole channel now is about how to grow your YouTube channel. And she goes deep into the analytics. So if you really want to grow your YouTube channel, 2 things: watch people who are successful on YouTube and watch people who teach you how to read the analytics. And so that's what I'm trying to do is I'm looking at people who have nice channels, I mean really good profitable channels, and I'm saying, what did they do in the beginning to grow their channel? And that's what I'm going to be doing to grow my channel. Now, of course, my channel is to donate to the homeless. However, I still need to grow my channel in order to be able to donate to the homeless in my community. I always believe in serving the community where you live, wherever I've lived. That's what I've done. And so I've been into so many different jails and prisons and just all over the country. That's just what I do. And so a lot of people are not comfortable, with going into jails. Another little side story, I have had a very colorful life. The first time I started going into jails, they had this sign up there that said, if we find, based on your driver's license or anything, that you're wanted, you will not be leaving this jail. So the first few times that I went into jails, I was like, I don't know what I did in my past. I didn't get caught, but I don't know. And so just so y'all know, I have a colorful past, just so you know. So, okay, let's get into this. Why do most budgets fail? I think that they fail because they are restrictive. Oh, hi, Jen. I see Easy Street with Jen. I catch a comment now and then is my problem. I probably need like a second person, like Mrs. G has a second person helping with the comments and that kind of thing. I need a second person. And my puppy is not a good assistant at reading the comments. And so, but he does supervise me when I'm working, just so y'all know. I do have an employer, and it's my puppy. I work so that he has a better life. So anyway, I think that budgets fail because they're restrictive. And just the word budget is like diet. You restrict yourself, and then when you fall off, you gain more weight than when you started. So I would rather call it a spending plan. And so if you have a spending plan, which I am just starting, so again, I'm right there with anybody who is starting in this week. I started in June, just last month, with my spending plan. Is it perfect? No. Am I going to improve it in July? Yes. And so that's why I'm saying all this, is so that everyone here starts from where they are and just tries to make little improvements. We're not trying to swing for a home run. We're just trying to go for a base hit in changing our finances. And that's what July is about. It's about going from broke to financial independence, but it's very little and it takes a while. I didn't repair my credit for a long time. I mean, it took me getting a secured credit card, it took me using it and paying on it consistently before they would give me a regular credit card. And now I have unsecured lines of credit to the tune of some $50,000, of which I need to close those down because that's where I'm at in life. See, I needed those in my past. I no longer need those. Well, I won't need those. Hopefully, in a year or two, I can save up that kind of money and then shut down those lines of credit. But my point is that I started with no credit. And now I have unsecured lines of credit of somewhere in the area of $50,000. And the problem is that I use them. That's the problem. To have them is one thing, but to use them is totally, you're not supposed to do that. So, again, this is all about one, how my life has changed, two, how I am still evolving. I am still growing, I am still learning, and I'm still trying to do better than I did last month. Because there are people here in this live that are doing fabulous in life. I mean, they really are. And I want to be like them. That's all. And so I love that I have examples. I have unofficial mentors out there. So find someone who can be your unofficial mentor. I had it in real estate, I have it in finance, and I have it on YouTube. I watch YouTubers who are what I want to someday become. And so, because I don't want to call out people's names, but let's talk about the paycheck to paycheck trap. Some people think, I have my paycheck, I pay my bills, and I haven't been late, and I have an emergency fund. It may be small, but I have an emergency fund like Dave Ramsey's starter emergency fund of $1,000 or something. It may be small, so I'm okay. And I want to tell you that one stream of income is not okay. Not anymore. Not with inflation, not with AI coming in and taking people's jobs. And this is not the first time that we've lost jobs to different things. Many, many years ago, we had car manufacturers in our country, and we started to export those jobs to other countries. And we started importing more from other countries as far as cars go. And so, therefore, we have cities that have gone into decline. So, this is not the first time. So, don't get blindsided by saying, well, I have a job and then I just got laid off for whatever reason, right? Or they're downsizing or the company is restructuring. And don't work until you pass away. Don't do that. Retire early. Because I had a coworker who passed away on the job and they just advertised his position and filled his chair. He never got to enjoy his retirement. And I felt so sad for them because he was younger than me. He was younger than me. So it's not that he was way old. No, he was a young guy, never even made it to 60. So that's what my channel is about, early retirement. Enjoy life now. But in order to do that, you need to be financially stable, which is what week one is about. So don't fall into the paycheck to paycheck trap. I've been there. Oh, I make a decent enough income. I live below my means. I'm okay. No, I was not okay. I was living on the edge and didn't know it. And I tell you, since I started teaching in colleges, and I started as a teaching assistant after I got my master's degree, when I was getting my PhD, I started as a teaching assistant. in a master's program, and I've been teaching ever since. And now it is somewhere 12 years, maybe 13 years that I've been doing this as a side hustle. And I built it and built it and built it until it replaced my 9 to 5 income. That's what I'm saying. You can build your side hustle, whether it's YouTube or whether you're starting a business, and have it eventually replace your 9 to 5 income. But as it becomes equal to your 9 to 5 income, and you all can do the math on this, you have now doubled your income. And if you're still living below your means, that means you have a lot more money to invest. But that goes into future weeks. But it all starts with living below your means, whatever your means are. And so that's what I'm doing now. Still, I'm living below my means. This month, if anybody saw my end of June budget recap, I think that I was living on about 12% or so, 12, 13% of my income for the month of June. My goal is less than 10%. So no, I didn't make the goal. However, I am still trying. But when somebody says, I need every single penny that comes in for my bills, you can squeeze out a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And over the years, you can possibly live on less and less and less of your income. Now, I'm using the extra income to pay off debt right now. But in the future, that extra income goes into investments. It's a snowball. It's a snowball, but you have to start the snowball. And let me just check on my time here because we're getting to 40 minutes. So did we cover any of the things that I have in my list? Most likely not. But y'all know me. I get going on my little tangents. And oh, I didn't put a poll in, and I didn't put in my pinned comment. So there you have it. Those are my live faux pas for today. So we are talking about budgeting this week, and not so much budgeting as tracking. You know, the first thing that you have to know is how much you have coming in and how much you have going out. That's it. That's the first basics of all of this. And if you're not a good tracker like me, you're super busy, you're working 7 days a week, whatever you're doing, and all you have time to do is sleep. You know, I was working 2 jobs and getting my PhD at the same time. So my life was busy. And tracking my finances was something I could only do once a week or once a month. But you have to track your finances no matter how busy you are. Because if you know how much you have coming in and you know how much you have going out, then you start to make decisions. And the decisions are yours about what's most important to you. And that's where we get to design our own lives. All this whole path to financial independence is you deciding what's important to you. You know, Christiana often refers to Ramit Sethi, who says, spend lavishly on what you want and cut mercilessly on the things that aren't important to you. So once you are tracking your income and your expenses, you can say to yourself, you know, if I have to put back one item from my shopping cart, and then I'll take that 35 cents that I saved on that one can that I put back from my shopping cart, and I'm going to put that 35 cents in my savings to start building a savings. Start small. You don't have to have a lot of money to start. You just have to start. If you're on a fixed income, start with your fixed income. If you're not allowed to earn money, then find how much money you are allowed to earn and earn that maximum within the guidelines of your fixed income. and say I can go volunteer at the farmer's market. And if I volunteer at the farmer's market, some of the farmers give me some vegetables to bring home, and I can save money that way. So that's less money I have to spend. Easy Street with Jen is in here, and her husband, they garden. And they save money on groceries by growing their own food. So my point is, do whatever you can do. All of us don't have the land to grow a garden or whatever. Do what you can do. I'm doing what I can do. I'm doing the best I can do. And I did not get down below my 10% of my income last month. However, I have a lot more bills than I have money to pay. Okay, I've just gotten my life into a set of circumstances where I'm digging out. Now, the pain of digging out is going to make me not do that again. Because my pattern is I dig out of debt, I get back into debt. I dig out of debt, I get back into debt. And I've built wealth that way, but that's not a strategy for life. Okay, just because I did it does not make it right for my future. You know, doing something wrong is not an excuse to keep doing it wrong. As we learn better and know better, then we do better. And everyone can improve. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how little money you have. Everyone can do better. I can do better. You know, I went to Walmart this morning and I was going to buy junk food because I needed some cash. So I just wanted to buy something so that I could go to the register and get cash. Why do I do that? Because I do not go to ATMs. I have not been to an ATM in God knows 20 years because Walmart gives you your money for free. There are no ATM fees at Walmart. I learned that 20 something years ago, been doing it ever since. So I needed cash this morning and for my puppy, of course. But anyway, I needed cash this morning and I wanted to buy junk food. I just wanted to buy some junk food. And I did not. Okay, I went to the section and I bought my catfish, which is what I needed for the month of July. I needed some groceries and I did not buy junk food. So it's one action at a time. Now, will I buy junk food next month, next week, whatever? I don't know. But I did not buy junk food today. I bought groceries that I'm going to need in the month of July so that I keep my expenses down. And so that's an example, just happened this morning. So we are talking about these things, and guess who has not gotten into all of his different points? But I'm coming from experience here. And my experience when I had nothing, which is not a textbook example. We could go through a textbook that says, well, you add the money over here and you subtract your money over here and you budget your money over here and you put, 50% of your money into your needs and 30% of your money into your wants, and then you take the other 20% and you put it into your emergency fund. Well, that's great if you have that kind of money. But many of us start with 99% of my money goes to these bills or goes to catching up on things, catching up on my credit card or catching up on, things where I'm behind on my electric bill. They're coming to shut off my electricity. We have to start where we are, meaning not everybody has a perfect life. So start from where you are and maybe someday you can get to the 50-30-20. Maybe someday you can live on 90% of your income and then 80% of your income. See, but all of that takes practice. I spend very little money on food, which is part of me being frugal, which allows me to take more of my income and put it towards my debt or put it towards investing. That's just me. Everyone can't do that. You have to do what works in your life. Instead of looking at someone else's life and saying, well, they're doing that, I can't do that, so I won't do anything. No. Do whatever fits your life. Let's say you have children. I'm retired now, my children are all adults, so I don't have to worry about feeding children. That's just not a part of my life anymore. I want to travel in my future. So I need to set myself up now so that I can have the life 5 years from now that I want 5 years from now. And so do visioning. Think about where you want your financial life to be in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years. What do you want to be able to do with your money? Do you want to be able to give it to your children? A lot of people do, and a lot of people are now giving it to their children while their children are still young enough to enjoy the money. Not, I'll give it to my children after I pass away and they're already in their 60s. I mean, they've already worked and struggled, right? Why not give it to them while they're struggling? Again, you have to get your finances in order to help other people. And just like people helped me when I had no money, you can be a blessing to other people later. And hopefully people have blessed you so that you can be a blessing to others. And so I am looking at my clock so that we make sure that we get through these items. So we've talked about how this Fire Academy is starting from week 1 when you're broke. And I'm giving you the real stories of how to dig out of debt when you're broke. Not, oh, well, there's a pie in the sky thing, and this is what you should be doing if you were a perfect person. No, I didn't start with a perfect set of finances. It has taken me years to rebuild my credit. It has taken me years to get lines of credit where the banks trust me. Okay, because remember, I have a colorful past. Okay, so I was not always trustworthy, especially where banks were concerned. I mean, when I was 18 years old, I had so many accounts closed, it was pitiful. I mean, checking accounts. The banks would just close them. This guy has no money. I had no clue as to how to do life. I just didn't. And some of you might argue that I still have no clue today. Okay? So, but my point is, I'm better than I was. And that's all I'm asking is we start today in July, and it's appropriate that it's the day before the 4th. So it's the day before Independence Day. Make your financial independence start right now in July. And make your life financially better a little bit at a time, whatever that looks like to you. Maybe you need an emergency fund. Maybe you need to pay off debt. Maybe you need to invest more. Maybe you need to become more frugal. Whatever it looks like for you, I hope that you'll stay with me these next 3 or 4 weeks, because July actually has 5 weeks in it. So I keep saying that the Fire Academy is 4 weeks, but really there's a bonus week at the end. And I hope that doesn't put people off, but there's a bonus week at the end. One of the things that you want to do throughout these 4 weeks is to build your own personal fire plan. If you want to retire early, no matter what your age, you can do it. You can do it. I have a friend who just said to me, well, I think I'll just stay and keep working a couple more years. You don't want to have to do that because you have never thought about what you would do in retirement. My friend has no idea what he would do in retirement. So he says, well, I think I'll just work a couple more years because I don't know what I would do. Think about the perfect life. If you didn't have to work anymore, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be out doing? excuse me, what would you be out doing? That's part of your fire plan for your future. Would you be traveling and visiting friends? Would you be visiting family? Would you be spending time with your grandchildren more? If you're sort of my age and you have grandchildren, all of these things are possible. You just have to start from where you are and have that vision of where you want your life to be. And we're going to talk about visioning during these 4 weeks, but it all starts today. It all starts with a decision and taking one step at a time in changing your financial life. And so I am at 55 minutes. See how I'm keeping track of my time this week? Because I have this tendency to keep going. When I get all fired up about something and it's like super exciting to me, I just, I lose track of time. And let me ask you this, because I forgot to put the poll up today. When you guys come in here, when I get to 55 minutes, somebody please put in the chat, hey, Daryl, in the poll and give us the poll results. I need that accountability because I never do it. I did it once or twice, I remembered, but other times I'm like a deer in the headlight looking at the cell phone and not thinking about the poll. So please, somebody over these weeks, or months, somebody at 55 minutes put in the chat, hey, Daryl, in the poll. You're just yammering on. So, um, so let's think about having our money mindset. We are getting out of debt. We are building an emergency fund. We are investing for our children, for our grandchildren. We're putting money in their college accounts. All of these different things are changing our financial mindset and doing better from wherever we are. You don't have to start at rock bottom like me, but also realize even today, I'm trying to improve my financial life. So this week 1 works for me even today. So that proves that no matter where you are and no matter how long you've been doing this financial journey, there's always room to improve. And so you're going to watch me improve not only throughout the rest of this year, but as long as I have this channel. I hope that you'll be watching me improve my finances. And I am having goals like I want to double my net worth. I didn't have a net worth when I started. I had a negative net worth. I was trying to get to zero. And now I have these dreams of, I think I'd like to double my net worth in the next X number of years. But it begins with me paying off my debt. And then it begins with me investing more. See, I'm not going to double my net worth by just sitting back and saying, well, I'm not investing. No. So next week, when we come in here, we're going to talk about week 2, which I had that in my notes, but right now can't remember, right? So I'll put it in a community post, what we're going to have in week 2. But I hope that you are motivated by this week 1 talk about the Fire Academy and how we all start from where we are. And one of the basics is find a way to live below your means. And that means find a way to reduce your outgo, which is your expenses, or increase your income. And whatever your side hustle is, that's extra money. And so that should be saved or invested or used to get you to zero. If you're behind, use that side hustle to get you up to zero and then just keep moving forward. That's what I've done. That's what I've done. I've been very blessed in my investments. I've been very blessed by people helping me to get to zero. And so therefore, I now have a trust that will donate money to charity because I've been so blessed it's up to me to bless others. So this is not about get a bunch of money and keep it and hoard it, you know, but I am going to enjoy the money someday once I pay all these debts off. You guys are going to watch me enjoy the money because life is meant to be enjoyed. So I want to leave you with that. This is not all, nose to the grindstone because it may look like that in the beginning, but someday when you're financially free and you are out boating or you are out fishing or you are out doing your life, living your best life, whatever that looks like, you will be thankful that you started whenever you started. If you're starting in 2026, you'll be thankful you started in 2026. I am already grateful for starting in June to have my spending plan and start to turn my financial life around from where it is right now. So I need you all to hold me accountable to stick to my spending plan and stick to my debt payoff as fast as I can. I'm hoping to sell a property. I mentioned that last week. If I sell the property and I make 5,000 or 10,000, whatever I make, it all goes somewhere towards paying off this debt. Or it just goes to the IRS. Who knows, right? I need to consult with people before I just willy-nilly, throw my money somewhere. I need to consult with other people who have other ideas that I may not think of. And so, again, I'm going to sign off here because I'm pretty sure I'm over my time here. I'm a minute over. Please, CL Fancy, I'm going to read this real quick. She said, the thrift store I go to supports the homeless shelter. They have a loyalty program. I need to go today because I have $10 of rewards saved up. Does everybody see that? There are so many things we can do to bless others. But first, we have to get ourselves together. And so, as I'm signing off, I always say, never let your past determine your future. Given my past, you would not think that I'm where I am today. You would say, there's a guy who was never going to amount to anything. His credit cards were declined. He was coming out of a homeless shelter. He was behind on his child support. He owed the IRS back taxes. That guy is not going to amount to anything. You would not say, that guy will go to college for 18 years. You wouldn't have said that. So I have had a blessed life. My life is not to be complained about. However, it can still improve. And I'm hoping, I've asked this, that's what I was going to ask, that anybody email me. My email is in my channel description. I don't know why YouTube makes it so hard for people to get your email, but it's in my channel description. Please email me and hold me accountable to pay down my debt and follow this debt journey and find yourself an accountability buddy to help you get started changing your finances. Thank you all for being here in week 1. Next week, we're going to go to week 2. And over these 4 weeks, we are going to go from broke to financial independence and designing the life that you want to live. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you all next week.